some fun stories like that. And I've had the privilege of going to the Congo and
Wow.
actually working with some people in Africa, building a feeding center. So I got to teach first aid to the
Mm.
workers and do some safety stuff. And we brought some steel toe boots over to
Yeah.
them. And I got to go into the orphanages and teach the moms like first
Wow.
aid. And actually, okay, I don't know how much time we have, but I do have one
Go for
funny
it.
story. But it's more first aid related than
Okay.
safety related. But we were building this feeding center on the property where the orphanage is. I'd finished with the workers, and I just was like these beautiful moms taking care of these babies, and I'm like, oh, let's teach them some first aid. So I grabbed the workers and I grabbed the moms, and we just were just sort of out in the field, and I said, let's talk about some first aid stuff, and how do you wrap an arm? Well, we used the women's like shawls that they had on
Okay.
their head, and we turned it into a triangle
Yeah.
bandage, and we used their bed that they sleep on, which is like this thin wicker
Hmm.
kind of thing. We used their bed to splint
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
And then, I mean, maybe funny to me now, maybe not funny in the moment, but I'm like, okay, so let's do CPR. And I'm teaching CPR and I'm teaching choking. So we go through choking,
Yeah.
I do all that, and we start teaching CPR. And I'm like, so you're going to do this until the ambulance arrives. And they all stopped and looked at me and they're like, what
Oh,
ambulance?
wow.
And I was like, oh, oh yeah, like there's nobody coming.
Wow. This is it.
Like there, this is
Yeah.
it. Like there's nobody coming. And they're like, do you mean throw them in our truck and drive 2 hours or 3 hours to the hospital? Are we supposed to do CPR for this
Right.
long? And I just remember going, oh, okay, that's not
Hmm.
going to work. I had to, because there was no
Yeah.
ambulance coming. There was no nearby hospital. There was none of
Wow.
that stuff happening. And so the next day they brought me, and it literally was a little tiny like an SUV kind of, a little 4x4 metal army kind
Right.
of truck that had a metal bed in it and doesn't have an oxygen. They did have a BVM, a bag
Okay.
valve mask. But other than that, and a couple band-aids. And when we
Wow.
went to the hospital, I said, okay, well, what do you have? No AED, no, they just have the same
Hmm.
BVM. They give Advil. And I was just like, wow, I need to be
Right.
grateful and thankful for what we have here, but I'm like, how do I now
Hmm.
support them in with their facilities and abilities and
Right.
capabilities? And I think that's really important, even as safety
Hmm.
professionals here, is when we go somewhere to critically be able to think, okay, the work needs
Right.
to be done. Right? We need production. We love
Yeah.
production. Production
Yeah.
makes money. Production is what pays my mortgage. I'm thrilled
Yeah.
with production. And I, as a safety professional, want that to go forward. And I think sometimes we get so caught up with
Yeah.
this is our
Right.
structure. This is what WCB says that we forget that we need to step back and go, okay, this is what
Hmm.
we have. What can we effectively do and reasonably do to meet the
Yeah.
objective?
Yeah.
And I learned that on the trip to the Congo to be a better
That
safety
is
professional,
such
be more
Yeah,
flexible.
that is such an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that because it does drive home exactly that point. When you were saying that, I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, as safety professionals, we have to be creative, right? We're not always, yes, we need to have the things that are required by law and everything, but is there a creative way that we can get people to come alongside with us or that we can innovate in a way to make people safe or help them be safe or help them make a choice to be safe?